We're outside, okay? Hi, this is Bob K from Biker Pros, and we're here in Daytona 2012 at the Harley event area. We're down on Beach Street, and a lot of things are going on here, and I'm lucky enough to have Marlyn Stemp with me from Ironworks Magazine. So Marlyn, we got all the Harley events going down here. We're outside, the weather's beautiful, we got a ride-in show going on. What do you see happening here on Beach Street today?
Bob, this is quintessential Daytona this year. Are we so lucky? I mean, look at this. We couldn't ask for a better setting or a better group of people to do it with. I just came from visiting Robeson Harley Davidson. They're celebrating their 50th anniversary this year. And when I talk to people like that who've been doing this that long, with that kind of traction and that kind of humility, it just really warms your heart and it makes you remember why we're doing this.
You know, speaking of that, we've both been doing this for a little while, a couple years anyways, and
speak for yourself, old time.
I really feel privileged to have you as a friend.
Still.
We've seen changes, obviously, here in Daytona. You know, we've seen the times when we've been real welcome and the economy was so robust and everything was growing, and the times when it was a little more challenging to set up and experience the motorcycles and the Harley Davidson thing, but we seem to be back on track to working well with the communities, whether it be Daytona or Sturgis or Milwaukee for that matter. So you know, what do you see in your travels, because you go around and doing the editorial for Ironworks Magazine? Does that seem to be going along across the country?
I think so. I think there's a real resurgence in garage-built, home-built stuff, which I think brings us back to our roots, and that's really gratifying from my point of view. A lot less buying of bolt-on parts and making stuff with your hands and putting a little bit of your heart and soul into it, which is, you know, our tradition. That's where this thing came from.
Isn't that the truth, you know? Yeah. It's funny, I was lucky enough to get to interview Willie and Bill today, and we talked a little bit about how the old motorcyclists used to be so conservative with their uniforms, and then after World War II it kind of got a little freer as the guys came back and they stripped down their motorcycles, and then we just keep seeing changes all the time. And Harley does such a wonderful job with staying on the beat of their enthusiasts in terms of apparel and bikes and styles. What do you think of, just like from the factory, and what they're doing with their new styles and offerings?
Oh, I give them a lot of credit for being way more inclusive these days. I think they're identifying some markets that maybe had been neglected in the past and bringing people into this a little more strongly than they have before. Women riders, minority riders of different ilks. They're being way more open-minded and generous, and just opening that door to bring more people in. And that's good for all of us. You know, rising tide floats all boats.
Isn't that the truth? You know, and you talk about the garage builds. We recently just did a show together in North Carolina, which, you know, the heart of garage builds. You know, you talk with the NASCAR history and all the fabrication that goes on there. I think it's so wonderful that Harley is endorsing and accepting this customization now. They support us at AMD. They're actually going to do a new AMD affiliate show with us in Milwaukee. They work with us through the Ultimate Builder Series, what they're doing with working with American Iron on the ride-in show today. You get to feature a lot of their bikes, and their new factory customs are really customs these days. So what do your readers and customers think about what Harley's doing in terms of their offerings and their ability to really offer the customer's choice these days?
There's good reaction, I think, from younger riders to some of the Sportster models that Harley's come out with, and that's been really well received. I also think my readers in particular like stock modification stuff, and so Harley has really expanded the reach there with way more product selection, and also products that work from prior models being used on newer models, which is always kind of innovative to see. Right. So there's a lot of creativity out there, and I think the factory's opening the door to that, and people are sucking it up.
I couldn't agree with you more. You know, we're so lucky again this year to have such beautiful weather down here. You've been traveling around. Anything interesting you've seen in your travels at Daytona this year?
Well, there was the Robeson, and I'm going to, with any luck, hook up with some of the old-timey racers to talk to them. I'm putting some emphasis this year on old Daytona. Cabbage Patch and some of the events, like I mentioned Robeson earlier. I mean, the people that made this so that we can be here today.
You know, what's really nice, I really appreciate that you appreciate that history, but when you think about what Harley Davidson does in terms of understanding how important their history is and the preservation, with their new museum now, but right back from the original Harley Davidson, when it started in 1903, they were taking a bike off the factory line each and every year and putting it aside. They had this kind of forethought, and at the museum they actually have one bike from every year since 1903, and it's just, there's such passion and history for us all to enjoy. And something I've come across this year working with the Ultimate Builder series is there's a lot of young people, and some of them have a better understanding of the history and the old parts than I do.
Well,
they're taking the time.
And it's gratifying to see them bring little styling cues back, board track racers and things that, from the past, but they're incorporating it in a modern framework. And isn't that exciting?
It really is. I think we have so much. Thank you. I know you got a busy schedule today, so I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us, and hope you enjoy the rest of the week here in Daytona.
Always a pleasure to talk with you.